Hello and welcome to Learn English by Stories. Today's story will help you improve your English through emotions, real-life situations, and clear, natural sentences. As you listen, try to feel the meaning rather than just decoding the words. This is a story about judgment, silence, and a truth that no one expected. My name is Liora Vance. I'm a financial consultant, and I help small businesses grow. I am 32 years old and have always lived a quiet, simple life. I do not wear expensive clothes. I do not talk about money. And I never tell people about my past, because sometimes silence protects you better than the truth. 3 years ago, I met a man named Ken Drax at a small bookstore cafe. I remember that day vividly. It was raining, and the windows were etched with soft water lines. I was sitting alone, reading a book on business strategy, when Ken walked in. Shaking the rain from his coat, he sat at the table next to mine and offered a warm, natural smile. It wasn't forced or fake. "Is that book any good?" he asked. I looked up, slightly surprised, as I usually don't talk to strangers. "It's useful," I replied. He laughed softly. "Maybe not exciting then? Well, useful is better than exciting sometimes." That was the first time we spoke. It was simple and calm, yet something about him stayed with me. After that day, we began seeing each other more often, at the same cafe or walking through the park. Our conversations flowed easily. He told me about his work as a project manager at a construction company, the long hours he worked, and his desire to build something meaningful. I listened and shared small parts of my life, but never everything. Ken was kind, patient, and honest. At least, that is what I believed. After 6 months, he asked me to meet his family. I hesitated, knowing that family meetings can change everything, but I eventually agreed. I remember the first time I walked into his parents' house. It was large, bright, and meticulously designed. Everything looked perfect, perhaps too perfect. His mother, Tamsin, greeted me at the door. She scanned me from head to toe, her smile polite but her eyes cold. "Nice to meet you, Liora," she said, though it didn't feel nice at all. At dinner, his father, Alaric, interrogated me. "What do you do, Liora?" "I'm a financial consultant," I answered calmly. "For big companies?" "Mostly small businesses," I said. He nodded slowly, clearly unimpressed. Then his sister Belle joined in. She was sharp and direct. "So, how did you and Ken meet?" "At a bookstore cafe," I said. She smiled, but it felt like a test. "How simple," she remarked. The room fell quiet. I felt an uncomfortable weight in the air. They were judging me, not because of what I said, but because of what I didn't show. I was wearing a simple dress, no jewelry, and no designer bag. I felt no need to prove my worth through possessions, but to them, my simplicity meant something else. That night, I asked Ken, "Do they like me?" He paused before answering, "They just need time." That answer stayed with me. Time can change people, but more often, it reveals them. Over the next few months, I visited his family frequently, and I slowly began to realize they did not trust me. His mother asked repetitive questions about my background. "Where is your family from? Why don't you talk about them? Do you own a house?" His father constantly discussed success and status at the dinner table, glancing at me as if measuring my value. Belle was even more direct. One evening, when Ken left the room, she leaned in and whispered, You're very quiet about your life. I prefer privacy, I responded. She smiled slightly. Or maybe you don't have much to say. Her words were soft but sharp, like a hidden knife. I didn't respond. I had learned that not every attack requires an answer, but a sense of distance began to grow inside me. Everything changed on Ken's birthday. His family had planned a large dinner, and the house was full of relatives, music, and laughter. I brought a small, personal gift. When I gave it to him, his mother looked at the box and raised an eyebrow. "That's modest," she said. "It's from the heart," I replied. She gave a short, dismissive laugh. "I'm sure it is." Later that evening, I went to the kitchen for water. The door was slightly ajar, and I heard Tamsin, Belle, and Alaric talking about me. "She's too simple," Tamsin said. "She doesn't have a strong background," Alaric added. Then Belle's voice came, quiet but clear. "I think she's waiting." "Waiting for what?" Tamsin asked. "For Ken. For his future. For his money." There was a brief silence before Tamsin spoke again. "A gold digger." The words froze me in place. A gold digger, someone who pretends to love while only wanting wealth. My hand tightened around my glass, but my heart was calm. Too calm. In that moment, I understood that they had already decided who I was without ever knowing the truth. I stepped back quietly and returned to the living room. I showed nothing, but inside, something had changed forever. As I watched Ken laughing with his family, one question haunted me. Did he believe them too? Or was he the only one who didn't know the truth about me? More importantly, what would happen when they finally found out? I took a slow breath, knowing that very soon, everything was about to change. The next morning, I woke up early. The sky was gray and the city was hushed. I sat by the window with a coffee I didn't drink, my mind racing. A gold digger. They hadn't said it to my face, but quiet words even hurt the most. I asked myself, should I tell the truth? I had kept my life private, not out of shame, but because I learned early on that money changes how people see you. When I was young, my family wasn't rich, but when my grandfather passed away, he left me a large, successful company. I was only 24. I made mistakes and trusted the wrong people, but over the years, I studied finance and worked quietly to build my own path. Today, I am not just a consultant. I am the owner. I stayed silent because I wanted real connections, not people who smiled at my bank account. I messaged Ken. "Can we talk tonight?" He replied quickly. "Of course. Everything okay?" "Yes," I typed. "Just want to talk." That evening, we met at the same cafe. The rain was gentle this time. Ken smiled, but his eyes were uncertain. Before he could speak about his family, I raised my hand. "Let me speak first," I said calmly. "Last night, I heard them. They think I'm with you for your money." He looked down at the table, his face flushing. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I waited a beat before asking the question that mattered most. "And you? What do you think?" The silence was heavy. Ken rubbed his hands together, a nervous habit. "I don't believe that," he said finally, but his voice lacked conviction. It wasn't strong or sure. That hurt more than his family's insults. "You don't sound certain," I said softly. "It's just You don't share much, he countered. My family doesn't understand you. That's not my responsibility, I replied. I know, but it makes things harder. Harder for whom, Ken? For you? Or for the truth? I leaned back. If I had nothing, no money, no success, would your family accept me? He didn't answer. That was my answer. I see, I said. Liora, it's not like that, he insisted. They just want the best for me. And what is the best? I asked. I saw the conflict in his face. Love, pressure, and doubt all tangled together. I realized this wasn't just about his family, it was about him. There is something you don't know, I said. I didn't tell you everything about my work. I'm not just a consultant. I own the company I work for. He blinked, stunned. What? I inherited it from my grandfather and have been running it for years. The company with international clients? That's mine. His face went pale. That company is huge. I know. The silence returned, but now it was filled with shock. I didn't know, he stammered. I never told you because I wanted to see who you were without that information, I said honestly. This is a lot, he said, running a hand through his hair. His eyes were searching, trying to rewrite the story in his mind. My family, they think you want money. I know, it's ironic, isn't it? I'm going to tell them, he said suddenly. I shook my head. No, I will tell them. Soon. Why not now? Because I don't want to prove them wrong, I said slowly. I want to show them who they really are. 2 days later, Ken invited me to another dinner. His voice was cautious. They want to see you again. I knew they didn't want to know me. They wanted another chance to judge me. But this time, I was ready. I stood before my closet, looking at my simple dresses and then at the elegant, powerful clothes I rarely touched. I chose to stay true to myself and wore a simple dark blue dress. This night wasn't about an image. It was about the truth. When I arrived, the atmosphere was thick with scrutiny. Alaric eventually leaned back and asked, So, Liora, made any big progress in your career? Yes, I said simply. In what way? I've been expanding my work and taking on more responsibility. Belle smirked. That sounds vague. It's not vague to me, I replied, meeting her gaze until she looked away. Then Tamsin asked the real question. What are your long-term plans? What about stability? I have stability, I replied. Alaric laughed. Stability usually means more than just feelings. I agree, I said calmly. Belle turned sharper. Are you planning to depend on Ken in the future? Ken tried to intervene, but I stopped him. No, I said clearly. I am not. Then what are you planning? I'm planning to continue running my company. The room froze. Running? Alaric repeated. You mean working at? No, I mean owning. I own the company I work for. I've been managing it for years. I told them the name. The silence that followed was heavy with realization and shock. Tamsin lost her color. Belle looked at Ken in disbelief. This changes things, Alaric said eventually. No, I countered. It doesn't. It only changes what you think of me. I was the same person before you knew this, and I am the same person now. But you didn't tell us, Belle argued. And you didn't ask to understand, I replied. Tamsin's voice was softer now. Liora, we may have misunderstood you. Yes, I said. You did. I looked at Ken. He was full of confusion. I wish you'd told me earlier, he whispered. I was waiting for you to trust me without needing proof, I said. In that moment, I realized the truth hadn't brought us closer. It had exposed the distance between us. The dinner ended abruptly. As I walked out, Ken followed me. Liora, wait! Please don't leave like this. I'm not leaving, Ken. I'm just moving forward. If I had known, I would have. You would have what? Treated me differently? Defended me sooner? Trusted me more? His silence confirmed it. I didn't hide the truth to play games, I said. I wanted someone to see me, not my wealth. I do see you, he insisted. You're starting to, I replied. But only because the truth made it easy for you. I told him I needed space. He asked for time, but I knew time doesn't change the truth. It only reveals it. I walked away with my dignity intact. In the weeks that followed, I returned to my company. I felt strong and in control, but I was also healing. I learned that people often decide who you are before they know you, and the truth doesn't always change their hearts. It just reveals their thoughts. A month later, Ken messaged me. I've been thinking a lot. Can we meet? We met at the same cafe. The sun was shining. The windows were clear. Ken seemed more certain. I was wrong, he said steadily. I didn't trust you the way I should have. I let my family's opinions affect me. I've had difficult conversations with them, and with myself. And? I asked. I want a life that feels honest, not based on fear or status. I want to try again. I felt a flicker of hope, tempered by caution. Things won't be the same. It will take time. I understand, he said. And your family? They are learning. I smiled slightly. Learning is a good start. We decided to take it slowly. This time, our relationship was built on understanding rather than assumptions. In the end, this story wasn't about money. It was about value, the value we see in others and in ourselves. The lesson is simple. Do not judge someone by what they show or what they hide. The truth is often deeper than what you see, and sometimes the person you underestimate is the one who can teach you the most. Vocabulary from today's story. Gold digger. A person who is with someone mainly for money, not love. Example, they called her a gold digger, but they were wrong. Judgment. Forming an opinion about someone, often without full information. Example, quick judgment can hurt people. Privacy. Keeping your personal life or information to yourself. Example, she values her privacy and does not share everything. Başkası. Trust. Believing someone is honest and reliable. Example, trust takes time to build. Dignity. Calm confidence and self-respect. Example, she walked away with dignity. Reveal. To show something that was hidden. Example, the truth revealed everything. Assumption. Something you believe without proof. Example, his assumption was not correct. Shadowing practice. I wanted something real. They judged me without knowing me. I stayed silent for a reason. The truth changed everything. I chose to walk away. I needed honesty, not approval. We can try again slowly. I know my value. Thank you so much for listening and learning with Learn English by Stories today. What do you think about Leora's decision? Have you ever been judged unfairly? Would you give Ken another chance? Keep practicing your English every day, step by step. See you in the next story. Goodbye.